brought the transmission systems and the standards for our smart grids. Murgashan sir, why pump storage? Why peak storage?
First of all, I would like to thank Prof Iyer because our association is very long, and he is the only known technocrat journalist available in this country who do research. Everybody writes, but who does the real research? He does research, deep research on any topic on power sector. Thank you very much. And I fondly remember this particular hotel because we participated in many of these summits. We done very grand way. One such thing is 2014, where Farooq Abdullah ji came, and I also received some awards. So I would like to thank all the organizations which supported Prof Iyer in his deep-driven work. And further, I would like to thank Prof Iyer for giving an opportunity to share dais with my president and Mr. A.K. Singh and other people. I have seen Prasan ji as a joint secretary and a middle-level engineer, but by the time he became secretary, still I was a middle-level engineer. When he became DG CPRI, just then he retired. So I could not work under him directly because our institute is an autonomous institute, directly reporting to Secretary Power. Friends, coming to this topic is well-matured technology. Pump storage technology is not a new one. It is a well-matured technology, more than 120 years history. We go back to this first pump storage. It is Switzerland, which set up in 1890, and a commercial pump storage was set up in 1907 in Switzerland again. But large-scale deployment of pump storage was done in Germany in 1930s. The very purpose of installing pump storage is to stabilize the grid. Next is that the energy was available during night time at a low cost, so that they utilize the power to pump this water and store and use it under daytime. So this was the purpose. Then came the power technology and demand of power. Huge, steep increase in power consumption from 1930s to 50s, and 50s to very high. So, but the thermal stations were the only power technology which can give you at a very short period to huge power. So the 1950 to 1975 was a huge flip for the thermal power. Large stations, 600 megawatt, all sizing went up. So again, what happened? The thermal power station can work very efficiently only in the constant output. You should not reduce or increase like that. So how do you ensure that when the power is available night time? Again, pump storage helped. So the growth of pump storage was very steep, in the sense it was a gradual increase. So all over the world, people were designing the dam only for pump storage. I do not know why India has slept for a long time. Then came again this nuclear power, 1975 to 2000. Friends, again atomic power, nuclear power, you cannot ramp up and ramp down that easily. So again it has to run at a constant output. So when you do constant output, excess power energy, where do you do that? Where do you store? It is only again pump storage. So all over the world, you take Japan, Germany, or USA, everywhere the pump storage was used for storing the power for decades. Then came, everybody knew that incidents of light will produce electricity. So the solar panel was not a new, it was a very old concept, but it was not taken off because the huge cost involved in setting up the solar power plant. Then came a technology breakthrough in 2000 to increase the efficiency from 6% to 12%. So friends, they installing this power plant or setting up a power plant and very quickly at a lower cost became feasible because of the technology intervention which increased the efficiency. So the investment has become half. So it became easy. Then the technology increased from 16% to 22%. So it became very cheaper. So overnight you can set up power plant, solar power plant. Then came another problem is the environmental problem, climate change. But friends, electricity generation is the first culprit for the climate change. Second came the transportation. But in USA it is reverse. In USA, transportation is the number one culprit. But all over the world, electricity generation is the first culprit. Many people are silently keeping it as a secret. But without electricity generation, you cannot do that. So friends, you have to eliminate thermal station. It's not possible overnight because it's a base load, 50-60%. You cannot do that. But the countries will not allow you to continue the same thing. So many countries have put a lock on this new approval for thermal stations. So that has become another land problem. Then the liberalization, electricity business was liberalized, electricity commissions, decentralization, and cutting through this whole hierarchy to distribution, generation, transmission. So it put another dimension. So you need to produce electricity at a lesser cost with a low loss and reliability. That is important because reliable electricity generates your GDP. Yeah, even if you are denied of 1 week power for the country, your GDP will go down drastically low down. So the electricity reliable power has to be generated. Another thing is that from 2000 onwards, the climate change. So renewable has to be a part of your portfolio. So it became essential. So this concept is called smart grid. Every country, all over the world, they are all moving towards these 4 concepts. Produce electricity at a low cost, reduce losses, that one make reliable. 4th one is integration of your renewables. And many countries have put up full stop that their energy portfolio will become 100% through renewable only. Take example of Germany. 2040, it is 100%. 100% you have to do that. So this is possible only you have these things like that. So to have this concept like smart grid, there is a concept called you cannot build up this to satisfy these 4 concepts. Low energy production, low cost energy production, then less loss, reliability, renewable integration. It is all possible by building blocks, 7-layer model. In communication, electrical communication, we always say that 7-layer model. How communication is taking place. So like that, to build a smart grid, you need to have 7-layer model. Starts with home automation, then meter automation. 3rd is distribution automation. 4th is transmission automation. 5th is you have renewable integration. 6th is your electric vehicle introduction. 7th is your storage. So friends, without storage, you cannot build a smart grid system at all. As on now, 98% of your storage, it comes through only through pump storage. And the technology like battery technology has not matured. It is not mature and occupy very large area, and still there are some associated risk, fire, so many things are there. So and also it is huge. You cannot have that kind of thing. So though we have 1000 megawatt hour, for only 1 hour it can give, not for long duration. So friends, this pump storage is a very essential. We should have done it maybe about 30 years back. Same thing, whatever CEA is doing now, converting the existing station into this, we should have done long time back when other countries were doing that, like Germany, USA, Japan, people are doing that about 30, 40 years ago. We could have simply worked like this. So friends, so this pump storage is a very essential and fundamental, because it not only have this large storage, and it gives stabilization and peak hour slashing, and renewable integration and fossil fuel reduction over. And battery technology can last only for 10 to 15 years. But in case of pump storage, it can go up to 60 to 100 years. So friends, it is fundamental that we need to do at a very fast track to do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So Murugesan did a good job. Some of the students were sitting, why pump storage, how that is. So he has done historical analysis. He has also given you the reasons for going there. So I don't have to speak anymore, and I think nobody has to say more. But I want our friend Santosh Mishra to say a few words on this. Kam se kam aapne jo suna, at least. And you have been a trade commissioner for Canada, a country that has all this stuff. It runs its entire grid on hydro. Come. Please, you
Well, thank you, Professor Iyer, for inviting me to attend this event, and also thanks to Inertia for this opportunity. Esteemed guest of the dais and Chairman Sahab, Anil Rajdanji, which we have been interacting in the past when you were the Power Secretary and I was the Trade Commissioner at the High Commission of Canada. So I served High Commission for 21 years. I was responsible for India-Canada collaborations on clean energy technologies. So hydro was one of them. If you go to the history, before 2000, 1990s, SNC Lavalin and AECOM, they were involved in Naptajagri project with the World Bank support. So that was the beginning. And then, of course, later Hydro-Quebec International was involved with LNJ Vilwada with to do Malana and another Elaine Donga, I think.
Alan Duangan, yeah. I was involved with those guys.
Yeah.
DCPC.
Right. So those two projects were basically with the collaboration of Hydro-Quebec International.
Yes.
But later, with withdrawal of their international operations throughout the world because of local pressures, so they had to also pull out from the Indian market. But also they did, a lot of job here with the Power Grid Corporation, mainly on the sharing knowledge on heavy transmission capabilities to work with Gridco of Odisha, and that was the story, in terms of hydropower connection with Canada. In fact, Canada was largely involved in India to start with on hydro and nuclear. You all know about the Kandu reactor. From there, in fact, the nuclear started for India. Today, in the past year, in fact, last 2 years, the relationship was not good between India and Canada, but now with the visit of the Prime Minister Kani, the things have kind of started again in terms of normalizing the relationship. And particularly, if you look at I will not take much time. by going into other things, but just for what is happening on this sector particularly. There was a deliberation at Concordia University in, I think, May 2000 or April 2026. This is about India-Canada collaboration on dam safety and grid resilience. So that was important in terms of stakeholders, mainly Ministry of Jal Shakti officials and National Dam Authority, and some of the companies were there to deliberate on not only dam but also other integrated technologies. And also there was this 35-member Canadian delegation visited India to attend the Indian Tunneling Conference. So that is again a new start for India and Canada. So they are closely collaborating on tunneling technology. And also there was a strong delegation from Canada to Montreal to attend the World Tunneling Congress. So that's a follow-up activity. But now you will see more of activities, especially between companies, which will cover the energy sector but also other associated sectors. In terms of investments, Canada, mainly the pension funds are investing in India more than, it's about $50 billion, you can say. And the private investor, Brookfield, has already invested $27 billion, but they have a portfolio of $100 billion for India. So that's a big thing, happening in terms of investment. But if you look at PSP projects, I don't think, they have gone into hybrid supply, mainly wind, solar, and battery energy systems, but not into PSPs. But looking at the portfolio, probably in the future, they might be interested to invest. But again, what we discussed today, there are a lot of things or gaps which need to be, one can say, to be more transparent, so that more and more investors can come in and have the confidence. So in terms of Canada-India relationship, I think it is growing now. This is the year which had a lot of activities. In the future also probably there will be a lot of activities, but in terms of mainly the private investor, Brookfield, only day before yesterday, they announced $600 million through Ekura platform. This is an Indian setup, but will be managed by Brookfield. So that will again go to wind, solar, hybrid battery energy storage systems. So things are happening, and I am very excited, to be part of this panel, and thanks you particularly giving me this opportunity. And you have been consistently organizing this type of events regularly, so this is good for stalwarts coming together and sharing their experiences, and hopefully, of course, you will continue. So congratulations and thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you. We have a lot of people here. I'm sorry, we are run out of time, and I think the food is also waiting. So thanks for everybody who has come. Thanks to people who have partnered to make this happen. It's always a very tough thing for people like us to bring serious subjects. Everything is happening in a pastry manner out there. People are not interested in the serious subjects. So we have an audience, we have our people, but the good thing is I have a YouTube channel. So most of this goes into my YouTube stuff, and I don't do any nonsense in the YouTube. It only is related to energy, power, infrastructure. It's called Infra TV. This YouTube channel was before even guys in the our mainstream media, so-called, started their YouTube stuff. So, but I have not done any unnecessary jumbling of it, because subject has to go to the right people, the policy makers. So even this video today, whatever we discussed, available. So what it benefits is government can get all the information, and we also push this information, and we make white papers. So one of the zones is every 2-3 years, remind them that we are here. So this will also generate something. It will first come in my inertia publication, and the next is, because we have our own platforms, we don't need the mass media, whether they write or not, who cares. Now another advantage that's happened is digital medium is enabling the form of prints, because now I'm able to give my publication free of charge to large number of people. So this is the power that is coming through social media, through other means, through direct communication. So earlier we had to print and print and print, right? I can do limited print and send to more people. Nobody pays to me for that. Okay, but people can advertise it, right? So this is a strategy. I hope that next year I need about 8 to 10 lakh budget to bring the portal of Falcon Media, which can bring other issues also. Even I'm going to handle cross-sectional issues like municipalities also across our other foundations. So they are one of the junkiest organizations making smart cities. There is no smart city. Yeah. So unko bhi theek karna hai. Rawat Sahab is a very important man. Called him. He's from a different dimension. We are working on decentralized energy. Daru Heda could be an example which he is trying to move in. So if something happens, I will show hybrid integrated renewable energy, which is because he has a larger model which goes to G parks and other things. But I said let's catch the energy dimension in it, push it, because without energy we can't operate. So we have come to a common goal. He collaborated with me when Tarun Kapoor was Petroleum Secretary, when I prepared the Satat Plus, which was for CBG. So that white paper was prepared by REPA again. Right? Today we have 132 plants. So whenever you guys sit with me, you will know the cross-pollination of energy. And I call it as RE-mobility. There is no mobility without renewable energy. So अभी तक e-mobility की बात हो रही है. वहाँ भी change करो. RE-mobility की तरफ बात करो. And when you see that, that comes in a book called Immunomics. I don't have too many copies, but I can send you a free copy of that book called Immunomics, India, Middle East, Africa. I want it to be a trade bloc. It will be a 40 billion SDG economy by 2040. Right now we are 13 trillion. When I wrote the book, it was roughly 12 trillion odd. Right? It was 2023. So this concept in the first chapter. Why sustainability is gone for a toss? Because what sustainability does is, it only gets you to retain. Usko aise rakhna hai. Bas, as is various condition. So I have been a rebel, as I told you. I don't agree. So these guys, all Johnnies come in the COP, and every year they have got nice parties. They go back doing nothing. They have reduced our budgets. The financial model has gone to below 300 billion now, because that was what UNCTAD pointed out after we guys. I made a Vaidak declaration on that the global economy is 115 trillion. 10% of it should go towards viability of funding and RE. Whereas they have reduced it to even further down. So that means the rich nations are not putting their money where their mouth is, but they want us to foot the bill. So this is also not going to work. And this we have not lobbied properly, or we have not fought it properly. So there are many issues related to our people in the foreign service. They're not doing enough to talk about the country. Okay, you can just keep a propaganda and image up, but आप जाके उनसे लड़ाई करिए. आप बोलिए साला तुम हमको डंडा दे रहा है, लेकिन तुम किधर है तुम्हारा बजट? Where is your bloody commitment? Carbon credits is a greenwashing, because without assets, we need a renewable portfolio application that I told Upendra Tripathi long ago. So there is no portfolio built up. How would you trade in carbon credits? So you need to expand the portfolio to trade in. Otherwise, you are only shifting one credit to another and becomes greenwashing. Somebody catches it, somebody leaves it, and it's no more like a stock market. That's why the Kyoto Protocol ended, and the Japanese went out of it, and we had our own stuff. So ये सारे जो घमासान है ना फालतू वाले, वो ना करके we should build the assets here. As I told you in the beginning, that China has 3.75 terawatt of installations, and we have just about 533 gigawatt. So that means they are almost 5-6 times more than us, right? And you can see that in the graphics which our Murugesh just mentioned. So China is a 20 trillion plus economy, 21 close to it now, and we are a 4. We can say we'll move 5 minute की बात कर रहे हैं, जा नहीं पा रहे, ठीक है, धीरे होता जा रहा है, समय सारणी बदलते जा रहे हैं, 22 हुआ, 24 हो गया, 27 होगा, 30 में भी नहीं पहुंच पाएंगे, ऐसे करेंगे. So we have to be very careful, and this is not like some maths you're doing. The CAGR growth has to be seen in a direct proportion to what the industry is talking. It's all economics, it's statistics, It cannot be, we cannot make some statement and get away with murder. That has to end. We have to push the energy train. I made a statement with Bhuvan Khanduri in this hotel only, where I said 600 gigawatt you need to get for 5 trillion. आपके पास है 600 gigawatt अभी नहीं है, इसलिए आप उस तरफ नहीं पहुंचे. In fact 600 का 700 लगेगा, क्योंकि solar is only 5 hours available. Wind will be tapering off also with 8 to 9 hours. So you don't have real capacity to drive your grid 24/7 and with frequency balance, because the grid is an agnostic. It does not understand there's a solar or this. It has only qualitative analysis. The frequency, it's got the voltage, it's got the current characteristics, and you're not measuring current. You are basically, the wattage is basically a transportation where you are calibrating and saying, itna watt ho gaya. You are only working on I square R characteristics. with cosine phi lying there as a constant, right? So therefore your energy meters themselves are not proper technology, which they are calling as smart meters. Fundamentals have to gone through, because whether these energy meters are spiking, whether they are also calculating the transient loads in such a way that it's bulked out and it is sent to rock Peter PayPal mode. So where are the harmonic filters throughout the country? कोई जा रहा है नीचे ऑडिट करने के लिए कि HF लग रही नहीं लग रही. So there are many factors like this which I will take it out with, but I just gave you a glimpse of where we come from. People like us are deep dive guys. It's not one subject. सारा देख रहे हैं इसको. So अभी smart grid में क्या हो रहा है? You are more or less technically controlled by foreign elements. The biggest energy security risk has come into our grid. It was TBA, I want in that era when it started the factory. There's a Chinese company started the factory and started taking away, gulping up everything. 30% of transformers come from there, from Vadodara. So if their transformers are coming, you have elements fitted in already into your grid. And then our Google friends and all this, they are not our friends. They will just come on top, I will also do. So I'm not naming, but the question is, what are these smart grid forums doing? We have our chair, he knows the subject better, Grid Smart Forum of India. So Murugesh knows it better what I am talking, and he is always supporting me. So that is also an issue. क्या हमारे ये elements are not in our control? Even for Andhra Pradesh, I want them. They want Google to build a big data center with a 1 gigawatt capacity. But आपने उसको license कैसे दे दिया यार? अचानक आपने private license दे दिया उसको on what grounds? Google will handle वो क्या private हो जाएगा Google का?
He's a foreigner.
हाँ तो but ठीक है सर. But हाँ तो उस पर बात हो रही है, शुरू हो गई है. Because the data center, we are going to establish. I'm announcing here, we are going to establish either a separate data and quantum association. Because I want to go as the devil's advocate there. कि मेरा पानी आप समुद्र जाओ समुद्र का पानी वापरो, ठीक है? You don't use my regular water, neither the raw water nor the industrial water. You cannot touch my water bodies. Number one. The second part, the most important, is power. Why did you go decentralized? Why do you want? In fact, every mall should be disconnected from the grid. We should make a policy construct जिससे कि they can come to combined heat and power. और वो करेंगे तो 85% efficiency है. तो ये हमारे ग्रिड की बिजली क्यों ले रहे हैं? 1000 रुपए का पिज्जा खाने को होता है, फिल्म की टिकट लेने को होता है, लेकिन आपको ये बिजली नहीं खानी है. बने 8 रुपए की हो बिजली, 10 रुपए की. Why the bloody hell these malls are connected to my grid? So there are a lot of mistakes in our system, and everybody is just shut the eyes. That's all. Enjoy करो, ऐश करो. ये देखो मत कि देश का क्या होना है. वो किसान बेचारा फंसा पड़ा, उसके लिए कुछ नहीं करेंगे. बातें करेंगे. He will be our great idea कि इसको करना है, इसको देना है, फलाना. ऊर्जा दाता है तो आप खाना आप खा रहे हैं. Why don't you pay for calorific value of the food? Why the bloody hell we have to pay in kgs? I've been pushing the government on this. Buy on value of the food, calorific value. आपको MSP करने की क्या जरूरत है? Fundamentals, हम पागल हो गए, सारे इंजीनियर्स हैं. We should go. We should make a lobby and say भैया किसान को calorific value पे दे दो. तो फूड आपका रीजनेबल कॉस्ट पे आएगा. आप अभी किलो टमाटर किलो इस पे उसी से नेगोशिएट करो जो स्ट्रीट पे बैठा है. किसी मॉल में जाके कोई नेगोशिएट नहीं करता. देखना वो गरीब से बड़ा नेगोशिएट करेंगे, वो दे भी देगा बेटा. ठीक है, तो चेंज करो, अपनी थिंकिंग चेंज करो. राव साहब बैठे, इसलिए मैं थोड़ी सी बातें कर दी. ही इज आवर फार्म मैन एंड इज अ डायनामिक मैन. वी आर वर्किंग टुगेदर. थैंक यू ऑल. Great to have all of you.
Thank you.
Waiting. And let's have one photo together.
Now, he's a crusader. I think that's the only one word you define.
Thank you, sir.
किसी से भिड़ जाती हैं, पंगा लेना ले लो.
क्या करें सर?
चलिए, thank you very much, sir.
Let's have one
I think
photo. Baba Sahib has been doing a great job.
Oh, yeah.
Well, sir, we did not hear you today. Sorry. KK Gupta